Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's case, I'm going to be talking to you about a well-known TikTok killer, Clay Miller. You may not have seen this online quite much, but I thought it should be come back out a bit. So I thought I'm going to do this case because I was pretty intrigued with it and I feel like it should be a bit more well known. So yeah, this is the case of the TikTok killer Clay Miller. The size of Clay Miller's TikTok following exploded to a disturbing degree just after she stabbed her wheelchair-bound older sister to death in February 2021. Her proliferation of social media platforms like TikTok has made millions of people around the world feel less alone. Glimpses into each other's lives have provided that the youth of the Generation Z with the extraordinary outlet to connect. For Clay Miller, however, that was just not enough, and she allegedly killed her sister for some attention. Miller had amassed an impressive following of around 22,000 on TikTok, performing in short lip sync videos. In reality, however, the 14-year-old spent her days among 550 indifferent students at Lancaster Country Day School. Her home life in the Pennsylvania town seemed even less glamorous, as Miller often felt her 19-year-old sister Helen had gone and overshadowed her. Diagnosed with cerebral palsy, Helen was wheelchair-bound and required constant care. Miller had helped tend to her sister for years before she had decided to snap, and this was on February 22nd, 2021. As reported by the Daily Beast, Helen was peacefully asleep when Miller stabbed her to death. This had been with a kitchen knife. Miller then called the police, who arrived as her parents were waking up. Quote, "When I heard about this, I was almost instantaneously upset about it myself over the details that had been related to me." This was said by Tom Rosinski, Mannheim Township Police Chief. Quote, "I don't know that I have ever been part of something that is quite as sad as this." Born in 2007 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Clay Elena Miller was raised by loving parents Mark and Marie Miller. Well, this was a very healthy child. Her older sister Helen wasn't as lucky. Helen had cerebral palsy. She spent much of her life in a wheelchair and needed quite frequent assistance. Both Miller and her older sister attended the private Lancaster Country Day School after school. Miller mostly spent her days in the solace of her home, posting videos on her quote at Spirits and Such Consulting TikTok account, as reported by The Tab. Most of these videos were harmless and showed Miller lip syncing, and this was to sad pop songs or dancing around her room. Others depicted a jovial father making silly faces, playing the guitar, or jokingly acknowledging Miller's camera. She commonly reenacted popular anime memes, which her father presumably found somewhat eccentric. Quote, "My dad has to stop opening the conversation with, 'This is just like the gay bar in Japan.'" The caption in one of Miller's videos read. Other videos of hers are far more ominous. However, while Miller's TikTok page was taken down after arrest, boosted its following. Users had already captured her footage and reposted it on their own pages. According to the Daily Mail, one of these videos showed a bloody latex glove and a plush giraffe that had been covered in blood. Ultimately, whether or not Miller took these particular videos herself actually remains a mystery. But the events of February 22nd, 2021 are chillingly clear. It appeared to be a normal Sunday evening when the Miller family said their goodnights and went to their individual beds. It is unclear how long Claire Miller had planned to murder her sister, if at all, but she crept into Helen's room around 1 a.m. on Monday, February 22nd, with a knife from the family's kitchen. Miller stabbed Helen in the neck several times before placing a pillow over her face. She called 911 at 1:08 a.m. and told the Mannheim Township emergency dispatcher that she had killed her sister. Police arrived at the 1500 block of Clayton Road within 5 minutes and found Miller waiting outside. Quote, "I stabbed my sister," she said. While authorities initially believed Miller was traumatized as a result of some unknown family accident, they couldn't help but note her appearance. Miller's blue t-shirt, emblazoned with a cat's face, and checkered pajama pants were drenched in blood. The red snow nearby suggested she tried to clean up her hands. While Miller told the officers that her dead sister was in bed, police entered the residence. Tragically, Mark and Marie Miller had no idea what had occurred until the armed cops flooded, and this was in the crime scene. And only did they realize that their disabled daughter had been stabbed to death. Quote, "One of the officers removed the pillow and saw a knife sticking out of Helen's neck, just above her chest," explained a statement from the police. Quote, "Helen's hands were up near her head, and the officers noticed a large amount of blood on Helen's chest and on the bed." Police attempted to resuscitate Helen Miller while waiting for the emergency services to arrive, but unfortunately it was far too late. She was pronounced dead at 4:13 a.m. Claire Miller was taken into custody and charged with a criminal homicide. She will be tried as an adult, as the state of Pennsylvania does not consider murder a delinquent crime. As reported by the Patriot News, Claire Miller appeared in the Lancaster County Court on April 16, 2021, via a video feed from a state prison in Muncie. Her attorney, Robert Bayer, told Judge David Miller that she had no interest in a preliminary hearing, allowing the case to proceed without prosecutors having to prove that they had enough evidence to charge her. Miller's arraignment was scheduled for May the 14th, but she waived her right to that as well and pleaded not guilty. Her attorney subsequently requested a hearing in order to shift Miller's homicide prosecution to a juvenile court and filed a notice for a potential insanity defense, while his school district published a statement of grief in wake of this tragedy. No mourning could possibly match that of Mark and Marie Miller, for those who first responded to the macabre scene themselves. There's simply no way to process what the parents who lost both their children in one night must be going through. My heart goes out to them, and I can't even begin to understand or imagine the pain that they feel at this point, said Rudzinski. Disturbingly, Miller's TikTok following exploded by nearly 11,000 once news of the murder broke, and her final post scored millions of views before TikTok removed her account entirely. Claire Miller faces a potential life sentence or capital punishment if she is convicted. Okay then, so that is the famous, as they say, TikTok killer Claire Miller. Now I feel like this is such a very unfortunate and sad, sadistic case that I feel that she should at least, see like special people can hospitalize them before seeing if she's going to be convicted. But I really do feel like she possibly was planning this for quite some time, as she was thinking that poor unfortunate older sister that had cerebral palsy, that is very difficult. It's a very hard, difficult situation to put up with. You know, I do feel like it is hard, you know, to see someone suffering like that every day. Maybe she thought that she didn't want her to suffer, or that, yeah, she felt like she was having all the attention. That may have been one main reason of it, but it can be a variety of different meanings. I feel that she had gone and done this. I feel it's not just necessarily to do with like feeling like she's having, her sister's having all this attention. I feel like there's more things than that for her to go and do something so horrendous and despicable as she have. But I really do hope that her sister does get justice. I feel like it is very unfortunate and it's so sad. It's one of the saddest cases that I've come across also. But yeah, that is the TikToker killer that is called Clay Miller. That is her case. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I see you again next time. Bye bye.